And maybe to start things off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How long you've been shooting? What kind of shooting you're doing right now?
Sure. Okay, so my name is Mo Talarico. I'm currently living in Quebec for the last year and a bit. I moved.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, in terms of firearms rights, it's the worst province. I call it the California of Canada because in terms of that stuff. Anyways,
Yeah.
so I didn't move here for gun rights. I moved here for something else that was important. Anyways, so I was in Ontario my whole life up until that point. About 4 years ago, I had renewed my PAL for a third time, and it's something I had only applied for the course and got my PAL license for an armored car company job, which I didn't even end up taking. And then every 5 years, I would renew my license just because I figured I took the course, I might as well just keep renewing my license. So, because I'm like, I'm not going to take the 2-day course all over again. So, and I did not grow up with guns like you guys did. I didn't touch a firearm until that course, and I loved it, of course. But then I didn't think about it anymore. I just I didn't take the job, and then it went out of my mind. So I renewed my license, third time. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to join a gun range. So I joined a local shooting range, and I bought a pistol right from them. And then right away, I just loved it. And they were doing IDPA out of that club.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. Now I wasn't doing it. I got my black badge last November, and now I'm dry firing every day. I'm reading books. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm like full bore into it. I'm like, I mean, I'm older, so I'm not going to ever be great at it, but I just want to get better every match.
Have you blown out a calf muscle though?
No. I don't move fast enough to injure myself.
Well, neither did Trevor, but he did.
No, I know. I heard. So I joined the range. I started with the IDPA. I wasn't doing it too much.
It's not me. It's Mo.
That's all right.
Hi, Mo. Maybe he'll come back.
We'll just wait.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yes, I seem to have lost it. Sorry.
Okay, there we go.
And my collection kept growing because I kept justifying it to myself, like we always do. Like, I need a lever action, so I went and bought a lever action. I need a pump. I need the different calibers. So I just kept buying and buying and buying. Not that I shoot all these guns, but I enjoy having them. So
yeah.
I'm a member of an outdoor range in Ontario still. I don't know if I can I say the name of the club?
Sure, why not? Which club are you?
So it's Galt.
Oh, you were actually at Galt. Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with club.
So the first range I was talking about was Target Sports. I'm not a member there anymore since I moved here. Now I'm a member of the Montreal range.
Which one, CFRAN?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I call it CTM or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm a member of that one, but I kept my Galt membership because I have a friend that's kind of local. So once a month I come back and we do skeet shooting there, and then we do a little bit of rifle stuff as well.
Okay, cool.
I have I bought a 6.5 Creedmoor, a Tikka T3X, TAC A1, but I haven't really used it that much. So it's something up long term, and I've looked at the maple seeds too, and I think it's great. Like, I've watched a bunch of your videos and stuff. I think it's great. I will do that. Thanks. It's just right now I'm pretty focused on the IPSC stuff, and I'm hoping we'll have some matches, but it looks like the May stuff's going to get canceled for sure. And then
it is.
We see what happens in June. So in terms of I would say I'm not an expert. Like, I've heard Trevor speak and you guys speak about the intricacies of firearms, and I would never take a Dremel to any of my guns because I would end up being so frustrated. I would picture it so bad that it would be a parts of garbage, and I would just throw it out, and then I would be frustrated. So, but I have a great understanding of them. I'm always reading about guns, and I'm really in tuned, and I follow the politics very closely, which I try not to get into too much tonight. And that's really, I listen to a bunch of podcasts, including yours, which I have for just over 2 years.
Okay. So how much have you listened to the backlog?
I haven't gone back because, and this is not a criticism, but the almost 2-hour shows sometimes are hard to get through. Not because I don't enjoy them. No offense. It's hard to find 2 hours to listen. And now that I'm not driving anywhere, like I work from home, I'm
Yeah.
not going to match. Like if I was driving to a match and I've driven to Guelph and Peterborough, and when you got 3, 4, 5 hours, and you're sitting there listening to podcasts, it's fantastic. But at home, I'm not the best multitasker, so I don't listen to podcasts while I work, because then I'm either not focusing on either one. So it's just a distraction. So that's it. I mean, I haven't been able to go back because I do listen to some other stuff as well, but I do love this. Obviously, I love the show because here I am.
Here you are. Awesome. So what's the topic that you actually were going to talk about tonight?
Okay, so my topic, and I want to keep it positive, was to continue to grow the numbers within the shooting community, because I always hear 2.2 million PAL holders, but to me, we don't have 2.2 million active firearms owners. And I mean active in terms of they're not out there shooting skeet and 3-gun and IPSC and IDPA and maple seeds and so on, and cowboy and everything else. Right. So, and I've found that the people that are into these sports tend to be more passionate and vocal, and not always in a positive way, let's say, because if you follow CGN forums, then not everybody's positive. But I find that they're more active in the community. So they're telling their friends about it. They're posting, they're posting on Instagram or Facebook or things like that. So they're out there talking about it, because again, I haven't been in this community that long, but I find that we're not Americans. We are very almost shy about being gun owners.
Yeah, we are.
And I think it was about a year ago I stopped doing that. So if somebody asks me what I do on the weekend, I smile and I tell them, and then they're like, "Whoa, you do that?" And I literally show them IPSC videos, and it blows their mind, because they're like, "You can draw from a holster and run around and shoot at target." I'm like, "Yes, that's legal." I'm like, "Yes," and then I explain. I say, it's so safe. I explain all the little details of how much goes into it, the organization. This isn't just a bunch of Wild West cowboys just shooting everywhere in every direction. I'm like, there's organization and structure to it. So I just started telling people about. So my topic is how we can grow in the community numbers, and then long term how we turn our 2 million into 4 million into 6 million into 8 million. Because, and this is where I'll keep it short and positive, that we're never going to win by trying to get a conservative government every 4 or 5 years. We can't count on that. We can't completely count on them anyways. But besides the point, we have to grow our numbers, because the only way we're going to have a better voice and stop this stuff is by having more of us speaking about it, and make it the norm in Canada, not the secret exception. So, and if I want to, I'll just quickly start. And I think what you guys do with your Maple Seeds and your Ladies' Days events are fantastic. And I'd like to see more of those. And not just Lady Days, but I mean, the Lady Days are super important, because we obviously need more females in the sports.
Okay.
But we need everybody in the sports, and not just old white guys. We need everybody in more people out there. And my idea is to have the ranges do more open house days, and with sponsorship from a local, like a gun store. So, I mean, the places that have their own gun store, fantastic. If they don't, they should be getting a local store on board, and even have some free giveaways, and even to the point where, and this is where it gets a little touchy because of the safety, is even to have an IPSC, like to have an open house at the end of an IPSC match. Now, of course, people go to an IPSC match and they're very serious, so you're not going to have people walking in and floating around while people are trying to compete seriously. But if you set up some basic stages at the end, like you just move a couple targets around, and you have people like draw from low ready, or if they're comfortable with a holster, you would actually have them draw from a holster, and have people within that range actually try it. So you're promoting it. Let's say for the golf, golf doesn't do it. Like for Eastern Ontario, because I go there. So you have your IPSC members, and then you have hundreds more that don't participate, because I'm most knowledgeable about IPSC, so I'll speak of IPSC. I think the website claims 4,000 members, so that's not as much as it could be. And I think if we get the actual club promoting the event, and then having a little bit more of an open house at the end, and getting people and then and having the black badges available and explaining how it works, we could get those people more engaged. Because I mean, as soon as I found out about it, I became like super excited. I'm sure there are
Okay.
others.
So
Yeah.
let so you are somebody who was a PAL holder. So we have 2.2 million. Actually, the numbers are going up.
Yes, of course.
And there's various reasons for that. And one of the reasons is because of what you mentioned. We have Ladies' Day events. We have a lot more people getting involved and getting their PALs because a lot more people are looking at sourcing out jobs. Like you said, you were doing it for Armored Cart.
Mhm.
And you got the RCMP, you got the OPP, you got Canada, Canadian CBSA. Yeah. So people are actually actively going out and getting their PALs, but you renewed your PAL 3 times before
Correct.
you actually bought a gun.
Correct.
Right.
Well, the other thing I
Go
was
ahead.
thinking of as well is think about that 2.2 million. Now think about how many people are actually even a member of a range. How many people are a member of your range?
Yep.
Like a massive range would be 5,000 people.
Yeah.
But if you think about the area that those serve, it's got to be what, like 5%, maybe 5% of gun owners are members of a range, something like that. I don't know what the exact number is, but
So one of the things, so the difference between Adriel, who's out in the Edmonton area, and your
Mhm.
range, Adriel's range has 5,000 members.
Oh, does it?
somewhere around there, yeah.
Very
So
nice.
in Ontario, like the range that I'm part of, it's 250 members, and they want to cap it. So and people are scrambling to get into different ranges, and if they get turned off by that as well. So we have to uncap that. We have to uncap the no pictures and no
There's
video.
definitely some development that has to happen.
Yeah.
The ranges need more bays, more facilities, and need better relations with their neighbors or to buy out their
Absolutely.
neighbors so that they just have more
Mhm.
space to
Yep.
deal with. Because here in Alberta, like if one range gets shut down, it's like, okay, well, you have to drive further now from the city, but you can still find some land. There'll
Mhm.
still be some crappy, cheap land that no one wants to live next to, where you could set up a range. But you definitely need to have the facilities, have the space, have the relations with your neighbors, have a range executive that's good and
Yeah.
willing to like put events in,
Yep.
and not just be like an old boys club. That you have to have the local volunteers to be able to run the events. Like there's a lot that needs to go into that to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
that structure to fix. And then you have to sue the CFO every once in a while and get them off your
Which
back.
we won one recently
Yeah.
too, didn't we?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
over in New Brunswick. So
Oh, you
yeah.
have to. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that has to happen. So you have to have enough money to sue them every once in a while and put them back in their place so that you can do these things. Because I think a lot of the ranges, they don't want to do action shooting because they're scared of what might happen. Oh, if we have an incident, the CFO will shut us down, and then we're toast, right? So I think a lot of them have to have like a little bit of lawyer money to be able to defend themselves.
Yeah, no, it makes
Yeah.
sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. So it's kind of there's a lot that has to happen for the growth to
Right.
get there. The stock is there, 2.2 million firearms owners, but you just need like the facilities and the organizations and the events, and it's happening in some places of the
And
country.
then the other thing that you have to have is like Adriel's Club is great at this. They do a lot of giving back to the community with different events. Like they give back to a children's hospital and that public relations. So those public relations and those events are actually getting them out into the community and getting the positive word. Where I'm trying to work with things is the ladies' day events across the country, and the more and more women that we can get in. By the way, women, we sell out these events, and the reason why we sell out these events is because we want to shoot. We think it's really cool. It is
That's
like
fantastic.
awesome, and we
That's
don't.
fantastic.
And I'm stereotyping people here, but the reality is women don't do things by themselves. We take our friends, and then it's just like going to the bathroom. We got to go in packs.
and that's all great. Now I have a question for you, Kelly. You mentioned the capping of the ranges, and why is that? Why are they being capped?
So okay, so I belong to 4 different ranges, and one range, it doesn't have a cap, and they're going, bring people to us, and I've I belonged to another range where it was 150 and they capped it. And the reason that they capped it is because they do not want people to be at their range so that when they go to the range, they can get their time at that range. They won't have to wait for a bay.
Take the whole bay
And
themselves.
and that club, I love them to death, but the club was on average age was 70-year-old males.
Yeah, because they're not thinking they're not, no offense, but they're not thinking future. They're thinking, I need to enjoy this right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the reality is, I did have a little chat with everybody saying, listen, we do need to actually branch this out, think about it, because you guys are going to be dead soon. I said to them.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
reality. You're 70, 75 years old. You're going to be dead soon. Do you want your range to be shut down? Because you're not going to be able to. So you need to open it up. They started having different events, and they've reached out about Women's Day events, and they've reached out about Maple Seeds and that as well. So you know what? That is what is needed.
Yep.
We had it. Yeah,
getting the ranges like moving and doing stuff because they're a fairly decent sized organization. IPSC's good too, but you need the ranges to have the IPSC to be able to
be on board
and get those people in.
But Adriel, you were absolutely right. You need to have the base. You need to have the facilities to actually be able to do this as well.
And the willingness for growth, and not just to have like a static shooting position that is available, that you can have the entire thing to yourself every time you show up.
Yeah.
It's gotta be like, there's gonna be stuff going on. Check the calendar. Something will probably be open, but check the calendar because there might not be. And there might be.
If we want to keep shooting what we're shooting, we have to all work together and grow our numbers. That's the only way it's gonna work.
So the other thing that we need to do, and this is from perspective, is have things like, for example, Slamfire Radio and other podcasts and other social media, and being willing to share it across the board on your own social media, and be proud of it. Like, I post pictures all the time of me shooting or things that I'm doing, and that's the piece. People need to make it, like as you said, Mo, we need to normalize that. You have over here somebody that works within marketing, and then me, I'm somebody that works with public safety. We're normal people. And we shoot guns. Yeah, okay. But we are normal people that like to shoot guns. That's it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
ranges.
What other ideas?
Find the ranges. I'm really blessed because the two ranges in my area that I'm a member with of both of them are both like super active. Chaz has been doing the Ladies' Day events and sports shooting. And I mean, if you would have looked at the calendar, like the events calendar on there 5 years ago, it would have been pretty empty. It would have been like show up and there will never, ever be something. You never have to check the calendar. To today where it's like, check it every weekend. Not at this month because of the Rona, but without the Rona, check it every weekend because there might be something happening. And I like that. And Sherwood Park has been donating to the CCFR. They've been getting action shooting going. They want to do more events. They're really kicking it up a notch as well. And I think that the more ranges do that, the more capacity we have to add people and transform them from just like a PAL owner that has a 30-06 in the closet to someone who's like, shoots like a little bit of PRS or a little bit of ORPS or IPSC or something and just enjoys like using their firearms and enjoys their time at the range.
Yeah.
So the other thing is too, like as Adriel said, there's a lot of people out there that have their pals or what have you. They're not members of ranges, but they have a gun that's sitting in the corner. That is like they're farmers or whatever. The way to support and get more people in is also support each other. So if, like, for example, if I'm shooting IPSC, I'm going to support that farmer who's protecting his livestock, or that farmer that's protecting their livestock is going to support the IPSC shooter. We're all shooters. We all own firearms.
Agreed.
We should be all on the same page. And the other thing that we should be doing is, somebody that's family, friends, somebody, take them to the range, get them shooting.
Yep.
I have so many people contacting me about going to the range, and I'm willing to take them as soon as the ranges are open. The ranges are not open.
The second a friend, family member, work acquaintance mentions an interest in firearms, how do I get my license? They end up hearing me go, like I start telling them everything because I'm like so excited. And a couple of guys have actually gotten it, and it's great. But yeah, as soon as they show any interest, I'm all over it, like with information on. And I think that's all they need. And Adriel had mentioned something about the people that are working at the ranges, and sometimes they can be gruff, and part of that is the safety. They don't want hooligans coming in and being dangerous, and so they have to kind of be stern and say, hey, like follow the rules. But sometimes they're just gruff to be gruff, and if you got new people coming there, you have to put on a smile. You have to like welcome them. At Galt, I forgot to mention this. I did a little silhouette small bore with the chickens and the goats, and there was a gentleman there. He had been doing it a long time. He was so great to us. Like he gave us the proper 22 ammo to use, like the lower velocity. He gave us he tuned our guns. He gave us so much information, and he made it an enjoyable experience. And I think that's what another part of it is, that when you go to the range, there should be people there that are welcoming and smiling and giving tips. And yes, of course, safety is always number one, but you don't have to be gruff about it. That's just my opinion.
I wonder if it's like, how some police officers just get tired with dealing with people because they deal with like crappy people all the time. I wonder if it's that, like they just deal with unsafe people all the time, and they just like start to get like, it starts to like grind on them, and they just assume everyone's unsafe, and they just get like crotchety with people. I don't know. Like I don't actually have paid RSOs at the ranges I go to because they're outdoors, and it's like if you're the first one to show up, you're the RSO. So
yeah, and I'm not saying they all are like that, because I have met some great guys and I end up talking stuff with them, and it's fantastic. But I could tell you, like going there for the first few times, there's an intimidation factor. So and again, if you don't grow up with firearms and you go there, and I mean, it's loud sounds. You're dealing with the operation of either a bolt or a pump or whatever it is. And it could be nerve-wracking because, of course, you want to be safe. You want this thing to fire where it's supposed to fire. So, and the last thing you need is people like yelling at everybody and like
barking.
Yeah.
Thank you. So as an RSO, the reality is you are responsible for the safety of the line, the safety of people there. And there are rules to share in that as well. And it's great to have a debriefing, but you also know that as part of our community, in order for us to actually bring acceptance, especially from people who are new shooters or wanting to try out shooting, then you're going to you attract more people with honey than you do with vinegar. And if somebody is an RSO and they're being, for lack of a better terms, an arse, the executive needs to know that. So find somebody else to be an RSO.
Yeah, you want that person to come back. You want that person to actually go and get their license and then end up getting a range membership and buying a bunch of guns and then obviously passing it on. But if they leave, they're upset and with hurt feelings. People have different sensitivity levels.
Yeah.
And if they go home and they're like, oh, that was awful. Like, I don't want to be part of this.
But I will tell you this, if you're there and you're being an asshat,
well, that's it.
Then you know what? You deserve to get kicked off. So don't be an asshat as well.
If being rude and unsafe and not being respectful of the others, then of course, they have to be talked to. But I think sometimes just people are gruff to be gruff, and that's not good.
Yeah, I think the old boy mentality is leaving quickly. It used to be that most gun shops were pretty bad for that kind of stuff. I remember going to gun shops and it was always like that. And I think things are now to where I wouldn't expect that. If I went into a gun shop and I got like the old boy treatment, it would be very odd to me right now. And I think ranges are starting to do that as well. Turn around.
It's awesome for women.
Yes, I know.
It's
They're
awesome
always
for everyone. Like
Yeah.
I really despise the old boy
I know.
Me too.
act, and like I get that some people feel comfortable with it, but man, it's just not good
It
for
needs it.
newcomers
No,
or
and it
women or
needs to
anyone
change.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you outshoot them, and then it's like no.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
to be welcoming. We have to put on a good face in our community, outside of our community, because that's the only way we'll grow, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the other thing that I was thinking about on this subject, so we already talked about women, we already talked about, giving back to the community, but let's talk about youth.
Yes.
So that's one of the other pieces as well. Some of the really successful clubs, like there's one in Tabor, Alberta, that has a youth program that's fantastic. So if you can get a youth program up and running and support it and find sponsorship for that youth program, or your executive to have a certain amount of dollars towards it for buying rifles and having instructors that are actively engaged in it as well, you're going to grow the sport.
What's the age for maple seed on the low end?
On the low end,
There is none.
there is none.
Okay,
But
so
it's
what kind
about
of a turnout do you get from like teens and it's like 10, 11, 12-year-olds?
typically on non-COVID years.
Everything not COVID.
Okay, so we've had kids as young as 7 on the line.
Nice.
Their parents were actively engaged in the firearm industry, and they could outshoot. They were actually outshooting some of their parents. Okay, but but typically we'll see around a 12-year-old is the youngest that we would normally see. But we don't say no to anybody younger than that, as long as they're able to hold a rifle and as long as they're safe and they can understand the rules and we have enough people assigned to them. So that's fine. But during COVID, we're limiting it to 14 or older. We have, for youth shooters, we typically see 2 to 4 per event.
Okay.
And then we have youth only as well.
It's super common for like 2 parents and a couple kids to come out to one of those things. So it's an event for the whole family.
Yeah.
The U.S. has a youth program. I can't remember the name of it. And do we have anything equivalent to that in Canada?
We have cadets. Cadets has like some shooting in it.
Okay,
but it's not.
Cadets
not
didn't have any
specific.
shooting anymore.
So 4-H also has a shooting component as well. It depends on where it's located, and then so that's pretty national too. But there's also, as I said, there's groups at all different various ranges as well, and it's just dependent on who you have running it and how active they are, how successful that group's going to be.
What do the groups do, Kelly? Because like I don't have any youth groups at either of the ranges I belong to. I'm just curious what they would do.
What do? They do actually weekly targets. They do a rifle plus 22s. Depends on the actual range. Tabor, I know that they actually furnish the kids with firearms, and they get to do targets and a little bit of instruction as well. They had actually asked us to come out and do some instruction for them.
Cool.
But yeah, so
that's interesting. Yeah, so like maple seedy kind of stuff, and then target practice with your friends from the range, kind of a thing. And we've got a couple of youth in our 3-gun group that shoot in there. A couple of 13-year-olds, and that's pretty hard to get into though, because as a 13-year-old, being able to run a pump shotgun, a semi-automatic rifle, 10-22, okay, and a pistol safely on a range. Sorry, that's a lot to ask.
3-gun is a whole other level of firearms handling and safety.
Yeah. The parents really have to really have to spend a lot of time with their kids to get them to the point where they can do that safely.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I when we're talking about youth or we're talking about ladies, a lot of the industry, so retailers, local retailers, or even some of the national uh, retailers are very supportive of that as well, because it means that they're actually going to have the next generation of shooters are going to actually continue their business as well. So don't be afraid if you got like a kids event happening, or if you got a ladies day event or happening, or if you have actually a group, don't be afraid to go and contact them, because they'll supply a ton, like ammo or whatever you need. Like they're really, really interested in helping out at these events too. So people are always asking about how do we actually get involved, or how can we do this? How can we afford it? Ask. People are willing to support them.
I think the number one problem would just be volunteers, right? Getting
Yeah.
someone to actually run the event and organize it, and get the kids there, and get instructors and line all that stuff up, and work with the range to get the days, and then call the gun stores and whatever to get the ammo and the guns.
That's the second piece. Yeah, you need volunteers. And good volunteers, not the crotchety old guy that you were talking about earlier.
Well, that's something I do want to start getting into, like actually like volunteering at these events and like helping out. Now that I'm becoming more comfortable in this world, like, you know, a couple of years ago, I wouldn't be jumping in there because who am I to be giving anybody instruction? But now that I'm comfortable being out there, then I would definitely do it to help out.
Well, you've got the IPSC too, right? So IPSC's a good place to start, because in terms of rules and safety, they've got the most. They know how to run a safe,
with reason, right? So
holster
drawing and then running in all sorts of directions. Like, it has to be safe. So
So I think like that's a good place to start, because you're not going to start going Maverick right off the hop, because you've got that baseline of, no, in order to run a safe event, this is what it looks like. Yeah, that would be good.
You don't have to be experienced to volunteer at any of this stuff. You know that, right? They're looking
it was for my own personal comfort. I just like I said, when I first joined this world, I'll admit I was intimidated, because I was new to this, and you know, I wanted to be safe, and I didn't want to, you know, mess up, for lack of a better term. And so I didn't want to, I couldn't have been a volunteer at that point, but now I definitely would do it. So,
So anybody that's listening to this podcast, because we actually are going to put it out on Patreon and also our regular podcasting streams, but go out and volunteer. So even if it means that you're helping with the lunch and you're not experienced, or you're helping with changeover targets or anything like that, you don't have to be experienced. They're just looking for bodies, a lot of it.
The organizers will let you know what you can do, right?
Yeah.
Like if someone who's inexperienced in 3-gun approached us and said, hey, what can I do to help? Right now I'd be like, okay, we're going to put you on a track, and the track is you need to learn the rules. We'll get you running the tablet. We'll show you how that stuff works. Like, we've got our track of like running people through and getting them used to working up to becoming an RO, right? But we wouldn't throw someone just straight in, but we'd have a track for them.
Here's practice score on a tablet. Have you ever read it before? No, great.
No, it's not complicated at all. No.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Especially like IPSC is a little bit complicated. You got like, you know, a double alpha or alpha Charlie or something like that, or alpha no shoot Mike, the dreaded one.
That's something I would want to do that later on, but right now I don't have the comfort level to be a scorer and stuff like that. So for now,
no, that one's easy. That one's easy.
That's easy.
That one's easy. You just you
go,
you tap on it. Alpha double alpha, okay, alpha Mike, okay, alpha Mike.
And then it's like, okay, confirm.
Record their score accurately. So some people take it very seriously.
But at your IPSC club, do you do the thing where you like show the tablet to them and they gotta they gotta confirm on it?
When I went to the Peterborough match, this was fantastic. They actually had a little printout, so it comes out of the machine, and I'm like, wow. And I took home. It was a 4-stage match. And I took home 4 little stubs, like from movie tickets or whatever. I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah. It's
little stubs.
IPSC's really good for that kind of thing. I mean,
I love the organization, and I saw my first. So that same club put out their match book for level 3, and it was so professional. Like all the information on when you go there, how you sign in. The different stages where they're laid out, the schedule, the rotation of all the stages. I'm like, wow, this is top notch. So
Probably
but
helps a new person, hey?
Yes,
Feel a
absolutely.
little bit of comfort because you got all the detail there.
Yeah, I'll go there and there's hundreds of people, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm going, and there's the chronograph station, and there's obviously more to it than a level 2 or a 1.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, you mentioned something. What about comfort level for new people? Do you think that's important for growing the sport?
Yes, and then that's whether it's a mother, father taking them, or if it's a friend, and obviously giving them good instruction about safety, and so that they're not being yelled at by a range officer, and so making sure that their experience is good. Obviously, and most people know this. You're not going to have a younger person shooting a 45 to start off in a shorter barrel. You're going to have them shooting 22s and things like that. So you obviously want them to go there and have fun and enjoy it, and then obviously want to come back and make it a future hobby, right?
Yep.
So, and like you said, Kelly, like anybody that asks me want to go to the range, I'm happy to go, and I'll let them shoot my ammo. And even at the current costs of ammo these days, I can still do it. So,
What's your gun lineup if you take someone new to the range? What do you start them on?
I haven't done it in a while, but I would, if it's an adult, I would bring a 22, but then I would also bring like a 9, I have a Glock 19, and then I would bring, I have a 6 Sauer 1911, so I would let them shoot that. I would actually let them use a pump shotgun, but that would be towards the end, and if I felt like it wouldn't totally scare them off, right? But that would be towards the end. I was bringing the AR because everyone who ever shot an AR, and I'm sure you guys know this, they're just like so wowed by it. And it's such a beautiful firearm, and they look at it and they're like, wow, I'm getting to shoot this. Of course, now we can't bring them, so that's another story. But,
yeah, that was always a big one for me. Get them doing the 22s, and they shoot the AR, and they're like, whoa, that's going to kick a lot. I'm like, nah, not really.
No.
Try it out. Oh, that was really nice. I could adjust the stock, so I got my head on the right spot, and it was really comfortable, and the trigger was light, and I didn't have to reload it. It just reloaded for me.
It's such a fun firearm, and unfortunately we're not getting to use them, and we'll see what happens down the road, but
yeah.
that's why I'm pretty passionate about this stuff, because my nightmare is that I'll be listening to Adriel do a 2-gun podcast on the best pump shotguns and rifles, and then 5 years later he'll be talking about single loading
action shotgun.
Yeah,
action shotgun is probably the last one.
Oh no. Can you hunt gophers with a slingshot?
I have, yeah. Or a bow, or
well, let's hope it doesn't get to that anyways.
No, I don't want it to. Although bow is very challenging. Very challenging.
Those little suckers are small.
Yeah. Yeah, see, like I said, I did not grow up in that life. It would have been fun to do it, and but it wasn't my world. Suburbia was not, there was no shooting gophers in suburbia. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you could. Your neighbors wouldn't like you.
Yeah, you'll end up getting swatted at the end of it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking my neighbors, they probably wouldn't like it all that much.
Yeah, I'm so, when I watch the YouTube videos and I see what's his name? Hickok 45, and he's shooting in his backyard, I'm like, oh, to have that kind of a setup with all his animals and soda bottles, and I'm like, and he just probably walks off his back porch into the yard, and he's got himself on his own range. That's like,
got own land.
Yeah. I guess we could do that here, but in very remote areas, and not with a handgun, anyways.
Well, not in Montreal.
Oh no.
So if Montreal enacts a handgun ban, what are you going to do? Have you talked to your city councilor?
I'm just outside of there, but then I would definitely move. I would hope they would never do that. And that actually ranges in the Montreal area, so it would destroy that business.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, but Montreal is one of the hot spots for this topic right now. So
they said they were going to ban them, right? If they got the chance. Yeah. Have you talked to your city councilor? Have you like emailed them or called them or anything?
No, I haven't really. Unfortunately, because COVID, I really haven't gone out and explored the community and really done that. I will, but I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's
Just
a shame that
send him a letter or an email. Mine responded to me,
Yeah.
and he didn't have to. And he's like, "Yeah, it's not in a plan. We're not going to do it." But that's
Mine
'cause it's him.
doesn't like me.
Kingston, yeah, I've heard you talk about Kingston.
Yeah.
He doesn't like me.
Oh,
Yeah, but it might be like
would like
that's one that's worryingly close is a municipal handgun ban and passing legislation for that, and
Well,
that was going to screw both of you guys over pretty hard. So
Yeah.
the pressure that you put on the city councilors, it can't be enough really at this point.
and that's why I like to go back to the beginning. We need more voices. We need more people talking to their MPs and every time. And I think, Adriel, I've heard you do it where if there's a news story that's incorrect, that you're actually going to contact them, like the ombudsman or whoever it is, and say, this is not true. You're printing lies, basically. So
Yeah, I do that
we
for
need more
any
of
of the news organizations I find doing something like that, or especially CBC.
CBC,
I hold
yes.
them to it because otherwise they're just going to keep doing it. Like we actually got somewhere. If you rewind 5 years ago, all the news places are saying assault rifle, and hey,
Yes.
assault rifle means something that has a specific definition. Doesn't mean that word doesn't mean what you think it means. So enough people have corrected the news places where now they're saying
Assault
the
style.
other
So
another double speak word for assault style rifle or some other nonsense. But at least we got them to like fix that's a small victory. But if we can get them to fix their language on the rest of this stuff, boy, that would be nice to happen. But we have to pressure them, right?
Yeah,
You're getting this
absolutely.
incorrect. You're supposed to be a journalism outlet, and you're printing lies or printing falsehoods. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so our topic was about getting more people into shooting. How did we get over to talking to your counselors and
Well, your counselor,
Sorry.
because your handguns are going to get banned, and then these are the largest population centers in the country, and there just
I
won't
know.
be handgun owners in the future.
but I'm doing my job and bring us back on topic.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you.
I'm going, how did we get over here?
Squirrels.
Sidetracked.
Squirrels is how. Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, I think actually we did a pretty good job of talking about it. But the reality is everybody knows. Everybody knows what we should be doing. But are we doing
We're
it?
not doing it, yeah. Well, I'm gonna start getting into it, so I'm gonna definitely do my part.
Awesome. Yeah. If
Yep.
if the passionate firearms owners do their part as well, we'll get more of those 2.2 million to become passionate firearms owners, and have more of a political impact and be able to stop some of the stuff that's happening to us right now.
There's about 10% of people who are actually firearms owners who are actively involved. That's it.
10.
Is
I
that
would
the
say
number?
I'd say it's lower than that.
Yeah.
Well, no,
there's-
I'm saying actively involved, and then there's of that 10% that are actively involved, then there's like 10% of that are actually
That makes more sense.
actively involved.
Yeah, because I mean, we were proud of the petition, and it would it have 230,000.
242,000. Yeah,
240.
the one
And
that
I'm-
just
and I'm
got word back
thinking-
on.
And those are not all firearms owners, because you have family members and friends signing it when you ask them to. So it's a pretty small number considering the amount that of firearms owners there are, right? We should have had 4 or 5 million votes. And then I know you have your people that are afraid of the internet and they don't want to go on and they don't want to go online to do this and give their personal information. So you're going to have that group that won't participate for that reason, but we should have had more. I mean, it was
By the
positive,
way,
but
we're all on lists already anyways.
yes,
You
I
know that.
I know.
Once there's too many people on the list, it doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody's on the list.
You're already on the list.
Yeah.
It's called a pal. You're a pal holder.
They
Anyways,
already look into you every day.
exactly.
Yeah.
Are you good people? Yes. Then don't worry about it. Just go sign a
Exactly.
petition.
Cool.
So,
Anything else you wanted to cover today, Mo?
No, I think we handled it all.
Mo, you got to come up with a really cool nickname. So let's think about this.
Random was already taken, right?
Random Dave,
Oh.
some random guy. You got Frosty. What's my nickname? That we
The
can say
classy one.
on air.
Classy one.
Mo. Mo better? Mo better.
Slow mo.
No. Mo
Well,
better.
if you see me shoot a match, I am in slow motion. You would say.
Well, that's only temporary. If you're dry firing like you say you are,
Yeah, I know.
that
I am.
slow-mo thing is not going to last long because
Like I said,
that
I
has
went
dividends.
from the IDPA matches. I would just take my gun out of the safe, go to the match, shoot it. I didn't care what the score was. I just didn't want to finish last. That was my goal. So if one person finished me, I mean, fantastic. But now I'm like, this is a whole other level. I like with the dry firing and the reading and like I put so much effort into it now. So
Yeah, the dry fire pit. Like most people don't dry fire. So if you dry fire, you're just gonna wipe the floor with them. Doesn't matter if they're younger and they got faster legs and whatever. You'll just mop the floor with them.
Because I do notice I've been doing it pretty hard for about a month, and I do notice right away like the draws are so much smoother, the transitions are so much smoother. Like the way I grip the gun when it comes out, it's all getting better, right? So which is, I mean, that's the point of doing it. So.
You'll go to a match, and there'll be someone who you used to rank near who hasn't been dry firing, and you're going to be way up higher than them. Not in time.
See, for me, it's also like, again, back to the intimidation, and I haven't always been the most confident person in my life. So I would go into those things thinking I'm not going to do well, but I'm actually trying to change that.
Okay.
Go there.
So if you go in and think you're not going to do well, guess what's going to happen?
Then you're not going to do well. I listen to Steve Anderson a lot, like in terms of this podcast, and he's all very big on mental management. Mental management. Yes. So it's all like, it's almost like tell yourself you're going to do well, and you'll probably do well. If you tell yourself you're going to fail, then
guess what? You're going to fail.
You're like, yeah.
So, but the other thing is also, you have to have fun. This is a sport, and you have to have fun. If you're not having fun, then don't do it.
Well, anything I do with firearms, I do it. Like when I go skeet shooting, I'm not hitting a lot of clay pigeons.
Why is that?
I'm not leading enough. Apparently, you need to lead.
Mm-hmm.
Lead.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to be standing there like a rifle shooter and just frozen on the top.
How is that?
Yeah. I need a lot.
I had to beat that out of me. Stop it.
Yeah, because I mean it's different than it's different than all other shooting, right? You're not just pointing at something and pulling the trigger. You're like leading through and it's continuing to move, right? It's a different technique, but that's also fun.
Yeah, but once you get it, then and it locks, then you're golden and you're good to go. You can switch between them too.
And in terms of participation, I could tell you I mean, maybe it's different at your ranges, but that community is a little bit older, so they definitely need some new skeet and trap and sporting clay shooters. So if there's going to be a community that's going to be more welcoming to the young, it's definitely them, because they need to get their younger numbers up. So so that way those sports are still around, like 10, 20, 30 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
And women too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the show again, Mo.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Mo. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now, if I hit the end broadcast, I don't know if this is going to hang up on us or not. I'm gonna hit it.
Let's try it.